The restaurant buzzed with laughter as friends and family gathered to celebrate our 5th wedding anniversary. Candles flickered on every table and a live pianist played softly in the corner. I believed the evening would remind us of the love we had built together. Instead, it became the night everything fell apart. My wife, Claire, stood and tapped her glass for attention. Every conversation stopped. "I have something to say," she announced with a confident smile. "Tonight, I'm giving my husband one simple choice." I frowned, confused. She looked directly at me. "Either you stop questioning my friendships and trust me completely, or our marriage ends tonight." The room fell silent. For months, I had noticed strange behavior. Claire often came home late, hid her phone whenever I entered the room, and smiled at messages she refused to explain. Every time I asked, she accused me of being jealous and controlling. Now she had turned our private arguments into a public performance. Then she walked across the room and stood beside Ethan, a man from her office. She rested a hand on his shoulder and smiled. "See?" she said. "He's just my friend." A few guests laughed awkwardly, but most looked uncomfortable. I felt my heart pounding. Deep inside, I realized this wasn't really about trust. It was about respect. I slowly stood up. "If those are my only 2 choices," I said calmly, "then I choose neither." Claire blinked. "What do you mean?" "I choose to walk away from a marriage where I'm expected to ignore my instincts and accept public humiliation." Her smile disappeared. "You can't be serious." "I've never been more serious." Without raising my voice, I placed my wedding ring on the table. Gasps filled the room. Claire expected me to argue, beg, or lose my temper. Instead, I thanked everyone for coming, apologized that the evening had ended this way, and quietly walked out. That night, I checked into a small hotel. The next morning, I returned home while Claire was at work. As I packed my clothes, I noticed her tablet buzzing with incoming messages. One notification caught my eye. "Last night was close. I'm glad he still doesn't know about us." It was from Ethan. My hands trembled as I opened the conversation. There were hundreds of messages stretching back nearly a year. Romantic plans, secret weekends, promises about starting a future together once I was gone. The truth was worse than I had imagined. I didn't scream. I didn't break anything. I simply took screenshots, emailed them to myself, and left the tablet exactly where I found it. When Claire came home that evening, she expected another argument. Instead, she found an empty house. On the kitchen counter sat an envelope. Inside was a short letter. "You asked me to trust you. Trust is earned, not demanded. I found the truth you tried so hard to hide. I won't spend another day begging for honesty from someone who chose lies. I hope one day you understand what you threw away." Over the following weeks, Claire called constantly. She left emotional voicemails, saying Ethan had promised to leave his own relationship but never did. Once I moved out, he slowly stopped answering her calls. The fantasy she had chosen over our marriage collapsed almost immediately. Mutual friends began reaching out. Some apologized for staying silent after noticing how close Claire and Ethan had become. Others admitted they had believed I was imagining everything because Claire had always appeared so convincing. Months passed. The divorce was finalized peacefully because the evidence left little room for denial. Healing wasn't easy. Some mornings I questioned whether I had missed warning signs from the beginning. Other days I simply focused on rebuilding my life. I joined a hiking club, spent weekends with my family, and slowly found happiness in the quiet moments I had forgotten to appreciate. One afternoon, I received one final message from Claire. "I wish I had never given you that choice." I stared at the screen for a long moment before deleting it. The truth was, she never really gave me a choice. Her decisions had already ended our marriage long before that anniversary dinner. The only choice I truly made was refusing to lose my self-respect. Looking back, that painful night became the beginning of a better life. Sometimes the hardest goodbye opens the door to the future you never thought you deserved. And while Claire expected me to stay and fight for someone who had already walked away emotionally, I chose something far more valuable. I chose myself. If you'd like, I can also write a version with a bigger plot twist or a more shocking ending.